Welcome back to our channel. Today I have my special guest, Randy Poindexter. Thank you, Randy, for joining me today.
My pleasure, Sean. Thank you.
Um, Randy, how long have you lived in Ecuador?
It's been 12 years.
Wow. And what brought you to Ecuador?
Um, when my husband decided to retire, Ecuador seemed like a good choice. He had worked here years before and had actually adopted a Ecuadorian baby like 45
Oh,
years earlier. So he loved the
okay.
country from his previous travels. Um, but it was at the time when international living was just beginning to promote Ecuador as being a great place to live. And I
Okay.
did a lot of research. I was very pleased with the new president who was building a lot of infrastructure and had just rewritten the Constitution, which included a Bill of Rights for the Earth.
Oh,
So there,
okay.
there was a lot of impressive things happening in Ecuador at the time. And the other
Okay.
advantage is that Ecuador has no hurricanes. We were
Mm-hmm.
coming from New Orleans, and uh,
Okay.
I had lost two houses to hurricanes
Yeah.
from Katrina and the
Mm-hmm.
following Hurricane Rita. So even
Okay.
though we had rebuilt, I never wanted to go through another hurricane. And
Yes.
Ecuador has surprisingly few problems
Mm-hmm.
with weather, massive weather
Right.
events. In fact, it rarely
Yeah.
rains where I live, and
Yeah.
it's there are the occasional earthquakes, but there is certainly not in the region that we chose. So I feel the weather here, with the temperature ranges between 65 and 85 degrees,
Mm-hmm.
make it an ideal place to live. I
Yes.
know you think that.
I do. Have you lived any other place other than Salinas
Actually, I live in Santa
in
Elena.
Ecuador?
Um,
Santa Elena. Oh,
I
okay.
because I'm from a big party town like New Orleans. I chose
Mm-hmm.
not to live in Salinas. I'm the only
Okay.
expat in a nearby town, about 30 minutes from Salinas. And
Okay.
I love living among the Ecuadorians. I find that
Mm-hmm.
they're great neighbors, and I can go see my
Oh,
friends whenever I
right.
want to.
Okay. That's awesome. Have you lived any other place other than the U.S. and Ecuador?
No, no,
No.
just
Okay.
Dallas and New Orleans, which is big difference from Ecuador, and
It is. It definitely is.
in a good way.
What other things in Ecuador has kept you here, other than the cost of living, the
Oh yeah,
normal
the
things, the U.S.
basics. For me, I find that one, the people are so gentle and gracious
Hmm.
and polite and helpful always.
Yes.
But beyond that, it's a very peaceful place to live,
Yes.
especially Santa Elena, which is um, at night you can hear a pin drop. It's
Oh wow.
it's and the beautiful weather makes it so that my garden never stops growing. My
Okay.
plants grow 2 stories tall and full of flowers, and that would never happen back where I came from. The winter freeze would kill my garden. But here, you
Exactly.
can live in an extraordinarily beautiful place because of the gentle climate. And I
Right.
think the very tranquil nature of the
Hmm.
country and the community that we live in make it conducive to just an extraordinary way of life.
Yes, definitely. And so being here, you said you've been here 12 years. I'm sure you've seen so many things develop here in your area in Salinas, La Libertad.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people come and go, but it's
Okay.
funny, the people that leave often wish they hadn't left or would love to come
Okay.
back. They usually leave for family reasons. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that have been able to meet some extraordinarily wonderful people, really from all over the
Okay.
world, because we have such an international community here. But to
Yes.
see this area um, grow and things being built and improvements constantly being made, it makes a
Right.
huge difference.
That's true. That's true. Randy, I know you had a recent loss, and I just want you to share with our viewers the process of losing someone, a loved one, while you're abroad.
Um, I'm a double expert on this subject, Sean. Uh,
Okay.
I had moved here with my husband in 2011, and after a year and a half, he died. And
Wow,
I
my
didn't
condolences.
know that many people, and it was a difficult thing to go through. Had it not been for my housekeeper, the,
Okay.
the people that I had working on my house to help me
Okay.
walk through the very complicated process, it would have been extraordinarily difficult. I'll cover this in a
Uh,
minute, but um, most recently, I'd met the great love of my life, which was unexpected at my age, since I'm nearly
okay.
75 and he was in his 80s. But love
Wow.
can spring eternal
Yes.
regardless of your age. And
Yes, true.
it was so sad when, after the happiest time of my life,
Mm-hmm.
it suddenly turned into the saddest time of my
Yeah.
life. But what's happening here is that because this community of expats is so close and loving and supportive, my friends, my both expat and Ecuadorian, have helped me up through the process. They have
Awesome.
extended so much love and comfort and support. I would have never thought this imaginable in any other place. But
Okay.
just the community here has really come together and kept me going. Uh,
Wonderful.
as you know, we have a ladies group that meets once a
Mm-hmm.
month for either coffee or cocktails. And our
Okay.
message is take care of one another.
Yes.
And that's what these ladies do. In fact, we're going to have a discussion tomorrow, which we do periodically, about end of life issues. Because
Mm-hmm.
here, when a person dies, their remains have to be taken care of within 24 hours. And the
Wow.
paperwork has to be done within 24 hours. There are no refrigerated morgues here. Um, it's
Okay.
it's a drastic situation. There's no time to get help from the family back in the States or Canada or England, wherever. You have to do it then. So, one of the things that I'm going to be discussing with our ladies group is the importance of having a power of attorney and to have our
Okay.
affairs in order.
Mm-hmm.
Because when something like this happens, we need to have all the paperwork necessary in hand to make it go smoothly.
Okay.
But in spite of the requirements, uh, it's not like Ecuador makes it easy when a person
Mm-hmm.
dies. It just has to happen quickly,
Okay.
the after events. And
Okay.
that's another thing this community is great about. Somebody or several people in the community will step forward and help you.
Okay.
Um,
That's great.
I'm one of those people. There are a number of us who will step in when an expat has a problem or loses a spouse, and we're there to help somebody walk through the process. So
Okay.
Um, I,
That's
I
great to have that support system.
yeah, and I appreciate your question, um, because this has been a tremendously sad time. But at the same time, this period in Ecuador has been just the happiest of my entire life, um, because Ecuador just offers a tranquility that you just don't find very many
Yeah,
places. So,
that's true.
and I know you're seeing that too
Yes,
in your
I
time
am.
here.
Yes. Now, one of the questions, um, should I ex like if you come here and you have a spouse, should you register your marriage?
Your marriage is registered when you apply for your visa
Okay.
because your marriage certificates are one of the many documents that the government requires.
Okay.
So it's necessary for you to get your visa and your cedula, which it's a
Okay.
word most people don't know, but it's our national identification card. So
Yes.
it is registered, and your
Okay.
cedula documents the state of your whether you're married or widowed or
Right.
it's stated. So it's not
Yes, because
necessary to do anything further than what you do when you apply for your visa.
okay. Because well, I know you have the option to get a cedula or just to use your passport. Passport. We chose to get our cedula, and so on my cedula it shows that Stephen is my spouse, and I am his on his cedula.
Uh huh. Correct.
And so, if you choose not to get a cedula, your marriage is still registered, even though you may not want a cedula.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
However, your passport is only good for a certain length of time. If you intend to
Yes.
stay here, that cedula is critical.
Right.
So
Okay.
I haven't used my passport in years. But we all have to have that cedula, and it's used in
Yes.
every single thing you do for basic things like opening a bank account. They're going to ask for
Mm-hmm.
your cedula in 99% of the cases.
Okay. Now, should you have a shared bank account if you're married?
There's no reason not to. Um, there are, it's probably better to have a shared bank account.
Okay. Okay. Now, when there is end of life, is there a difficult process for if you want to leave and you have property or if you have a vehicle that's registered or you purchase here in Ecuador?
I'm sorry, repeat the question.
I'm sorry. I was saying that if there's an end of life and you decide you want to leave Ecuador and you have property or if you have a vehicle, is it difficult to sell the land or sell any property that's been shared by your spouse?
uh, Not really. Um,
Okay.
there are, I think Ecuador is a surprisingly easy country to live in those terms. And they have
Okay.
just relaxed the law regarding the amount of funds that you can withdraw from Ecuador.
Okay. Okay.
So, and
Awesome.
since people have come and gone from here frequently, and again, usually for family reasons, the grandkids, um, properties are sold and they move back. It's happened over and over and over. Nobody's ever had a problem.
Okay. Because I was just wondering if the property is in someone else's name. Like, say if Steve purchased the property, I'm his spouse, but my name is not on the deed. Would it be an issue for me to sell the property if my name is not on the deed?
Um, Legally, if you were to lose your spouse, the property would revert to you.
Okay.
So it becomes
Okay.
your property.
Okay. Well, that's nice to know because I've heard different stories. Like, oh my gosh, if it's in their name, it's
No,
hard for you to get the property. Okay. Well,
not
that's
an issue.
wonderful. Okay. But I'm so happy you're doing well. I'm so happy you're surrounded by a great support system, and you need that because I lost my mother back in 2012,
Sorry.
and it's it's not an easy thing to just let go and just move on. It took me about 7 to 8 years before I can actually. I was in denial, and denial took a long time. And the time I actually realized that she had passed and I was ready to let go, it took about 8 years. And you have to move on when you're ready to move on, and everyone doesn't understand that.
Thank you for the
It's
advice. It's I've always handled grief well until now, but it's something that touches everybody. There's not a
hmm
soul that hasn't experienced grief or loss. So it's
right.
amazing that it's such a common denominator among us that
Yes.
so many people have some insight and wisdom, often things
Yeah.
I've never thought about, but that has helped me uh,
Yeah.
in the healing process. And I appreciate your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, you're very welcome because what we as individual I spent at least 40 years with my mom. So to feel like 6 months to a year I can just move on is impossible. My mind, my brain doesn't work that way with grief. I have to, because it's hard. I don't have the phone calls anymore. I don't have the visits anymore. And it's a process because that's an everyday thing I did. And now I wasn't able to. So it's a long process. You can't take 40 years and put it in 6 months to a year.
Sean, what you have is who she made you.
Yes.
You carry her in you, you carry her
Yes.
spirit in you. You are a product of your relationship with her, her teachings,
Yes.
her wisdom. And that's what I'm learning is that how my life changed
Yes.
by this important relationship, and that I'm not the same person, and that we
Right.
do take on the loving qualities and attributes of the person that we lost, and that they're still with us in that sense.
Yes. Yes. Definitely. Well, I appreciate the information you shared with us today. I'm very hopeful, that if, anything happened, I'm very informed from the information you gave me. And I do hope that I have the same support system that you have here
You
if
do,
anything should happen.
you do. Just reach out, and your friends will be there for you. You're in a rare community here, Sean. Uh, it's it's not a bunch of friends, neighbors, people you just run into. It's a family,
Right.
and because
Yes.
we've all left our families behind,
Yes.
none of them understood why we came here in the first place. For some
Right.
of us, it's a giant retirement home, although it's on the
hmm
beach, and it's it's far nicer than any retirement home. But it's we're all in this together, and we know that, and
Yeah.
that's why the the community is so strong about supporting one another, and
Right.
that's very important. Nobody comes here and feels lost and alone. We make sure of
Okay.
that.
Right. Now, I want right before we go, I know that you are part of a rescue. Can you share your rescue that you're a part of?
um, I came here with 8 animals from the States.
Wow.
Nobody does that. And that after my husband died, my neighbors, because I already had cats and was feeding the cats that were eating out of the garbage, my neighbors started dropping off cats and kittens, and they never
Right.
stopped. They have been doing this for 12 years. And
Wow.
for some reason, I have been the recipient of a lot of abandoned animals. And so after my husband died, especially, it became a focus. And
Okay.
um, I found that that's helpful for other people who have lost their loves, is that they turn to animal rescue. The problem here
Okay.
is that there's so many needy animals.
Yes.
We see them
Yes.
every day. Uh,
Yes.
that being able to rescue the animals, and now what I'm doing with dogs is just taking on the most severe cases.
Okay.
After Arthur died, I took on the saddest, sickest dog I've ever seen in my life.
Oh
And now
wow.
he looks absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, awesome.
So it,
Amazing.
it's great to, if you have love to share, is to help animals in need. But my counterparts, some of my closest girlfriends, do the same thing in the bamboo barrios where
Okay.
the children have no running water, who live a very meager existence. They have set up groups where they go in and bring in fresh food, clothing, furniture, medical treatment, knowledge, um, done so much to improve the communities of the very poorest people here in Ecuador.
Okay.
That there's a feeling among us when you live here that to whom much is given, much is expected. And you see the needs around us. But unlike the United States or other countries, here we can be hands on and directly affect our environment. And we can go out in these poor communities and rescue the dying animals. We can um, feed those starving children. We can clothe those starving children. We can help those struggling mothers. The
Yes.
Here, if we get a few donations together, that money goes a long way to helping people. And for us, it's the highest level of service is to be able to give back to the community. And
Right.
in certainly in a case where your heart is hurting, is the best thing you can do to heal is
Yes.
to
Good
reach out and
therapy.
help others.
Yes.
So, but there's that
Awesome
opportunity here,
therapy.
and it's a
Right.
great way to spend your retirement.
Well, Randy, thank you so much for joining me today to discuss, the process and to share your journey here in Ecuador.
My darling, thank you. It's nice to see you. It's wonderful to have a great chat.
Well, thank you for joining me, and thank you for to our viewers. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. Like, share, and subscribe. Bye.
Bye.